Hello and welcome to the podcast with SerAaron and friends. My name is SerAaron, also known as William, and these are my two friends, Brian.
Hello.
And Dave.
Arkdog isn't a name.
So today we're playing I'm playing Dark Souls. And
Shall I'm gonna cut you off there. I'm gonna just slide in the word attempt. In front of that.
Yeah.
So just to clarify things, this is the very first time you've stepped out playing Dark Souls.
Yeah, this is my first time ever playing Dark Souls, and as you'll see, I fucking suck at it. Although I am playing it deprived, and I do waste my gift in the first 10 minutes.
You know, it's funny, now like, I've kind of watched a lot of streams and videos on this, and every time they always go, "Don't start deprived, they're the worst class, you don't get anything out of it, in fact you're doing yourself a disfavour." And like when we were playing, Will just like, "I'm gonna play the naked guy." Okay,
yeah, so I was streaming this.
I'm not gonna stop you playing the naked guy.
I was like, fuck it. The only real way to play Dark Souls is the naked way.
I like how you're really professionally changing the settings whilst you're recording. Well done, William. Resolution changed, wow.
Yeah, so I was getting some terrible frame rate issues with this, and this footage is actually slightly sped up because it was...
Don't tell them how bad you recorded.
Like...
How sped up? As in, like, Benny Hill sped up?
As in, like, it went from being about an hour and 40 minutes to being about an hour and 35 minutes, so... It's only a slight
Look at those
increase.
First hits!
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to aim in this game
Take
for,
that,
like,
wall!
an hour.
God's sake.
Yeah, you guys aren't going to enjoy watching this.
I've seen footage of the second one where they literally, all they do is attack. They don't block, they don't roll, they don't parry, and that was annoying enough. This is gonna really...
You can enjoy that then. Will doesn't know how to block at the start.
I don't know how to do anything at the start.
At least you can read messages. Rest at a bonfire? Sweet!
That's one thing, like, I like about this and the very start of Dark Souls is it teaches you right at the start you don't have to just fight. You don't always have to be like, "I'm gonna kill this thing, get out of my way." You can be like, "You know what, that thing's a bit too big, I'm gonna leave that alone."
More like, oh god, I don't want to face it,
Yeah, because, well, you'll see in a minute, like, I go into that room and the...
tries to fight it.
the giant demon thing shows up. Well, you'll see, like, I'm just looking at my, like, facial model, and then it crashes through the wall into me. And I try and fight it for a few minutes, and then I'm like, oh shit, I can't do this, and run away. But yeah, it is interesting how it's like, yeah, you're supposed to run away from it. I'd like to see, I'm probably going to look it up after we finish the podcast. I want to see if somebody's ever beaten it without running away, just with the broken sword.
Yeah, that's happened.
Yeah, it's got to be possible.
Yeah,
be possible.
If you do, you get the hammer, which you only get from New Game Plus or killing it when you come back again.
Ah, right.
So if you kill it here, you get the hammer
so it
and the
just
key.
like smashes me in the head while I'm looking at myself, and I start shitting myself. Yeah, so I'm terrible at this game, but I am gonna play it again because it was fun.
Well, you've barely scratched the surface on the game.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, is this video your entire time that you spent playing Dark Souls?
Yeah, basically.
Christ. I think me and my brother clocked up about the same amount of time that we both spent playing Pokemon. Like Fire Red.
Oh, right.
Playing this, so yeah.
What, like for 60 hours or something?
No, 120.
Jesus.
Yeah. Because I got to... I think I got to Ornstein and Smough in New Game Plus.
Yeah, that's
Anna London.
tricky as hell, especially if you like not geared properly, then the game just kicks your ass.
I haven't fought them one-on-one yet. Well, one-on-two, even.
I think, like, if you, like, get the right sort of item build down and you don't kind of mess around with leveling your guy up, you can probably breeze through New Game Plus.
Yeah, well,
With,
my
like-
character that got through there was the first character that I made, so his stats were a bit squiffy.
Yeah, I started again recently. I've kind of focused on doing a Dex endurance build. So
Yeah.
like whenever I level up, I put mostly into resistance Dex or right in the butt. Resistance Dex and endurance.
Yeah,
And
my character
stick
was
with
a strength and faith guy.
I
Although
remember
he
I
had
had a
lots of
faith guy
mistake points.
when we played co-op because you got little coins for helping with bosses when you got summoned.
Yeah,
And then you got
the
the
cool
lightning.
thing. Yeah, if you were a member of the, I can't remember the name of the guild, but the Praise the Sun guys. If you join them,
Sunlight.
your
Covenant or
character
something.
summon is bright orange instead of white.
Yeah.
And I love orange, so I
And
love
you get
that.
the praise the sun taunt, and you get freaking thunderbolts that you can throw
Yeah,
at people.
and if you beat the game, or I think you get the end boss's soul or something, you can get his lightning bolts, which
yeah.
are really powerful. You only get one every time you see a bonfire, but yeah, they just tear through things.
Also, notice how Will has ignored the shield and sword.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna beat him
because I didn't realize that like you
Reading
had
was a part of
to
the
go into the side passages, and I also suck at aiming still. So
Oh yeah, he didn't have to auto aim for a bit, and he got freaked out by the ghost.
Oh, did you play this whilst you were talking to each other?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was streaming this, and Dave was with me, like listening in to me screaming at random shit.
You had quite a few people kind of cheering you on, giving you suggestions, and then after a while they just stopped because they realised it wasn't working.
Yeah, we had one guy who stayed with us right to the end of the stream, and he was like, "You are the best commentator I've ever seen." I was like, "Oh, thanks, man." But
Did you tell him about the podcast?
No, I forgot.
You stupid.
It's one person we can't ever get back now.
We could have had 5 viewers.
Oh, I'm sorry, I fucked up.
One day we'll stream the podcast.
Yeah, maybe, probably not.
It'll be a horrible, horrible day. So, what was your gift? Divine Blessing.
Divine Blessing, which I accidentally used the first one before I fought anything in the game.
What does it do?
It's
It
just-
gives you
it's-
3 bottles of holy water that fully
It's an
restore
Estus
your
flask
health.
before you get them.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
essentially you can use that to fight kill the demon before you even get the Estus flask.
I see.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're useless.
Basically, I didn't realize it was bound to X, and then I accidentally pressed X. So I used the first one. Then I think I used the second one while I was fighting the demon. And then I think I used the last one like whilst I'm fighting something else later on by accident again. And I keep using the Estus flasks by accident.
William,
Yeah.
will you ever learn?
It's because I'm not used to that stuff being bound to like a thumb button. I'm used to games having all of the thumb buttons being your attacking moves, whereas in this, like, all the triggers are your attacking moves.
Wait, the thumb buttons? What?
Like A, X, Y, B.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant
Um,
like the sticks.
Because like in Metroid Prime or whatever, that's like
Metroid Prime. Yeah.
yeah, that's like A to shoot, B to jump, and lock
Yeah.
on with the triggers and stuff.
We all know Metroid Prime is the clever combination of the word met and the word roid.
Yeah.
You and your broken English.
Okay,
Approved.
so yeah, I don't know really how much we can talk about Dark Souls though. Still,
Well,
because
I wanted to talk a bit about Dark Souls 2.
about Dark Souls 2. Okay.
I've been watching a fuck ton of Dark Souls lore videos. So I
Yeah,
can just go on about that for ages.
Epic Name Bro does a ton of really good ones. He's probably like sort of the main guy who's gone out of his way to really publish a bunch of Dark Souls lore. And I like Dark Souls because it's the only game I can remember where the fans are the only reason this kind of lore exists, because the game
Yeah.
doesn't really present it to you The lore is presented more through the ambience, and even like you could learn more things from item descriptions than any like NPC.
Yeah.
Which I think is really clever because
the fans have really kind of dug around to piece everything together.
Yeah, it's a complete fan like made sort of community. It's all about the community to get this sort of lore together, and because of that, and because it's so strong, it's built up a huge amount of hype for the second one because they want to know how all this lore is going to play in the sequel.
Yeah, speaking of community, did you know that there's a couple of shields in the game that were designed by people?
Yeah, they're doing that again.
The
for the second
Sanctum
one.
shield and the Blood something shield, the one that gives you lots of curse resist.
Yeah, they've done that again for the second one. I think there might be a weapon that someone designed and a few shields.
Ah.
There was some, like they posted them, and there was a really cool one where it's like a shield that looked like a 3D hand coming out at you. It looked really cool, and I thought that'd be amazing if it like absorbed magic if you blocked with it. So, but yeah, I do like how they do that as well. I think they're doing that for either shields, armor, and the boulder. I did not tell him about the boulder. I wanted that boulder to destroy him like every other player who first played Dark Souls.
Yeah, I remember one of the first times when I played Dark Souls, when you get to the Firelink Shrine, there's a well, and there was a message by a part you could jump from saying something like item ahead or something. So I'd run, jump, land in the hole, and die.
Yeah, I fell for a lot of the sort of jump prompts by the edges of like areas. After I first discovered stuff like if you drop down quite a bit, you'll find a secret. I'd be like, well, there must be tons of them around this map then. And every single one of them might be a potential one, so I'll try them all. So I just ended up like jumping off the level half the time.
You'll see me do that later on. Like, I was trying to get to an item that I could see like on a bridge, and I just jump off into the abyss trying to get it.
Yeah, the mechanics of like jumping is kind of
it's
odd
really
at the start of
bad.
this. Because everything has got so much weight to it, you kind of have to preempt all your jumps.
Yeah, it's kind of like the reason that you love Castlevania 1 so much. The limitations of it. Makes it good.
It's weird. Like, on the one hand, it feels like clunky controls, and then on the other hand, it feels like you're just bad at playing the game.
It's probably that.
Probably the latter, Will.
I imagine, like, once you're good at the game, you know that it's not bad controls, it's skill-based. But when you first start, it feels like bad controls.
Well, it's cool because it kind of feels out of control. Like,
yeah.
Especially
like, when I was, like, attacking that skeleton without aiming or whatever, and I was just flailing about trying to hit it or whatever. That felt really clunky and horrible to me, but that was because I didn't know how to aim. So it's sort of, it's a nice learning experience.
And even like when I was playing, I started off with the knight class to build like a tanky strength guy, and I spent the first half of the game with like the slowest roll animation where you kind of jump and plummet onto the ground and then roll. And that's like the slowest roll animation, and it gets you killed so many times, but I just liked it because it was really cool because I was a heavy armor guy. But it's like the worst way to actually play because you've got no mobility.
Yeah, by the way, the character there,
Estes.
I can't quite remember it entirely, but I think he might be Gwyn's son. But I definitely know for sure he's kind of like an alternate hero like you.
Yeah, that's sort of what he was saying. He was like, oh, I'm like you, but now I'm dead.
Yeah, but they removed most of what he was going to do in the final game. And I can't remember if what I saw when I watched it was just a mock-up, but I think you can see him outside later on if you meet certain circumstances.
I know
because there was a thing where
you meet him at the end.
Yeah, I know you fight him when you come back, but there was this thing where he was supposed to meet you at the very end boss.
Huh.
And the reason that he goes hollow is because he kind of envies you and your success. And I think it's theoretical on what he was basically going to do, but basically, no matter what you choose, he has the opposing view.
Huh.
Right.
Which I think is quite cool.
Oh, the two endings, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I like, there's a lot of content got cut from the game, like, I was reading the the overweight cleric guy who is there at the start.
Oh, that guy.
And he just sits there. Apparently he was supposed to have quite a big quest line for you to get the elite cleric armor. But that never made it into the game, so you can never, like, legitimately obtain the elite cleric armor.
Huh.
Why, you can get the elite version of most other armors. But that's, like, stuff that was just cut in the end. You're trying to parry him.
God, I suck at this game.
Yeah, you do.
But going back to the second one, I've seen a lot of videos, and I played the demo at Eurogamer Expo and died a lot of times to that boss, the mirror boss. I got it like half health, maybe 2/3 health gone, and then you just fucking destroyed me.
Wait, is that a mirror battle where you fight yourself?
No, well, sort of. It was like a giant sort of crystal-like monster, and he had a big mirror shield, and then he'd slam the shield into the ground, and then your sort of mirror image would run out of it and start attacking you.
Huh.
It was really cool, because it kind of made a diversion while the boss was trying to kill you. You had your sort of your doppelganger attacking you as well.
Interesting.
It was great.
Yeah, I really like the boss design in this. Like, the opening cutscene when you first start is really cool because it like shows I don't know if they're bosses or not, but it shows some pretty cool monster design.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the scaleless dragon dude and the like Death Lord or whatever.
See the scaleless Gravelord Nito.
Yeah, Nito's yeah. He's cool. He's just a giant, like,
Just a giant
shadow cloaked guy made entirely out of
Giant
skeletons.
ball of skeletons.
shambling
Yeah.
ball of skeletons. Yeah. Are they bosses or are they just like
Yeah.
Most
parts
of them
the
are,
lore?
yeah. I think the only one in the intro that isn't a boss is the pygmy,
The witch?
which is
the cleric dude.
the pygmy.
What's a pygmy?
When the voiceover says the furtive pygmy.
Oh, the like homeless
Yeah.
guy that just finds a little thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pygmy. It's not homeless, bro.
I don't know. He's like he looks a bit like me, to be honest.
Demon pygmy.
But yeah, he's apparently very important to the lore, but I never found anything about him in game.
I assumed he was just from the way they portrayed him.
As an almost Gollum-like character.
Yeah, actually, I want to draw a correlation between the lore of Dark Souls and the lore of Berserk, the Japanese manga and anime.
Oh, here we go.
Like, I fucking love Berserk. It's literally one of my favorite series of all time. And the lore in that is incredibly similar to, like, at the very least, like the base lore of Dark Souls. Like, it's a very like dark, evil world with demons that show up at night and these like god-like figures that control people's fate and shit like that. And
Guess what's gonna happen?
oh yeah, guess what happens here? Hey, a silent demon! Oh shit!
Oh my god, William.
But yeah, like I was, especially in that opening cutscene, like I just couldn't help but think of the Berserk lore, because it's really similar. At least from a
No
like,
idea what it is.
yeah, I mean it's kind of hard to explain since you guys haven't read Berserk, but like at least from a like basic standpoint, like not everything's the same obviously, but just the worlds feel very similar, which is kind of why I like it actually, because it feels like I'm playing in the world of Berserk. But yeah, just something I thought I'd mention because that's pretty much the only thing that I can say about it so far, because I've only played 2 hours or whatever.
One thing I thought was, you know, the guy who's inside the room that the boulder breaks.
Estes.
Yeah.
Isn't he the guy who throws you into the prison in the first place?
No, he throws the corpse of a guy that has the key to let you out.
But then, like, he gets killed somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, right, so he's the one that frees you, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He was going to be part of a whole kind of intro
I feel
quest
bad
to
for
do it.
killing him now.
Well, you kind of missed out by killing him.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, he said, like, he was saying, like, oh, I'm gonna die now, and when I die, I'll become a hollow, and then I'll attack you. And I was like, fuck that, I'm gonna kill you first.
Well, yeah, it was probably better that you did that. But if you fight him when he's hollow, you get... I think you get a magic shield, although I think he's there anyway.
Yeah, I think he's there.
Which is a bit of a kind of... It's a bit silly. I think he's the only character that you can kill that it doesn't matter if you kill
Huh.
at the start.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna do shit, he's already dying.
Well, death seems a little bit non-permanent in this game.
Yeah, just a little.
I do like
but
how you can
actually,
kill
I
anyone.
do like that. I like how death in this game is built into the actual lore. Like, when you die, you don't go back on a save. You literally just respawn. Like, that is in the lore. Because you're undead or whatever. I really like games that do that. Like, Paranoid and what's it called? Paranoid, the role-playing game, and Bioshock had the cloning tube things.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Pulse.
Yeah, that cloning thing like originated from a role-playing game called Paranoid, where you play as clones, and every time you die, you get respawned at a cloning terminal like nearby. So the whole game revolves around like you have a limited number of clones. So you can just like throw away your life to like defuse a bomb or something, and then get respawned and carry on with your adventure.
It's a bit
really
of a weird
interesting
thing
mechanic.
to put into a game, though, because obviously there's tons of philosophical questions about whether you would... Well, obviously you wouldn't share the same consciousness as, of your clone. You would basically die, so...
Yeah, it's there's a whole film about it. If you want to watch a film about it, go watch The Prestige, which is about two magicians that are like trying to do the... trying to find like a better and better way of doing the like trick where one guy walks through like into a box on one side of the stage, and then the same guy walks out of a box on the opposite side of the stage or whatever. And one of them like invents a cloning machine and gets the trick down to a T, and then is like consulted by the fact that he's basically he basically has to kill himself every single night for like the rest of his life or whatever. Every time he does the trick, he has to die. So yeah,
I have
it's
a
a really
question.
good film actually.
How long does it take you to beat this boss?
I think I kill it now.
Okay.
It takes me fucking ages to do anything in this game.
Yeah, you see, if you think going like this is like slow, you should see what happens when he starts going towards the skeleton area.
Oh, does he do what I did first, where he goes for the catacombs?
Probably. Well, he doesn't go into the
I dunno.
catacombs, but he fights the skeletons first.
Yeah.
I
Which is
just
kind
go
of-
looking for loot and then get jumped by skeletons, and then I just have to keep going back to the area with skeletons to pick up my dead body.
Yeah, it kind of goes against all RPG conventions when the skeletons aren't actually the weakest enemy
Yeah.
in that proximity. They're actually pretty strong
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
comparison.
They're stronger than the average zombie dudes, at least.
Yeah, like the Hollow Warriors and they by the steps.
Yeah.
And what I like is that all of the items that you can find, they are like there's a risk to get them.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I walked over here, it took me 5 minutes, therefore it has to be a great item. No, you got to get past the two massive skeletons first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can just try and run past them, pick it
Yeah.
up, and then run away again, which is
But-
what I did.
Yeah, but it kind of it makes it more of an achievement, not like, oh, I've
Yeah.
played for however long, I demand I get these items.
Yeah. Plus, on top of that, like, the item that I actually got, I couldn't even fucking use because it was a massive greatsword and I didn't have the strength for it.
Yeah.
Oh, the claymore.
Yeah.
That's the whatchamacallit, Zweihander in
Zweihander,
the
yeah.
graveyard, where the giant skeleton's guarding it.
Of course,
Oh, yeah,
I didn't realise that I couldn't actually do any damage with it for about 10 minutes, so
Yeah,
I wheeled it, like, trying to hit things, not doing any damage, and then I'm like, why can't I do anything?
And chat is
And then
just like,
somebody in chat
"Stop
was
using a
like,
fucking sword."
stop using the sword, you don't have enough strength, and I was like, oh.
Christ, it doesn't take most people that long to bloody figure it out.
Because
I don't remember how good I was when I first played this. I know
Yeah.
I had a
I
lot
was
of trouble
pretty
with the
shit,
first
but
one.
when it came to things like, you know, game mechanics where I was like, yeah, you can't do this, I was like, oh yeah, I can't. But it sounds like you were like, no, fuck that, I can do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I tend to go into a lot of games with just a sort of like, fuck it, I can do anything attitude.
Well, like, this is like an exception because usually in games that say you can't use this weapon yet, you haven't got enough strength, it doesn't actually let you equip it. But in this, you
Yeah.
can still equip it and swing it, so you're like, well, why can't I use it now? And
Yeah.
you use it, and you use it badly, and you're like, why isn't it doing anything?
What I do like is how you get a lot of weapons that you can't wield single-handedly for ages.
Yeah.
So when you do get to the point where you can wield them single-handedly, it's because your character is fucking strong.
Yeah.
Like, inhumanly so.
Also, I really like... I've never really noticed this until, like, I started collecting all the items. Just the vast amount of, like, animations and stances for each individual weapon. Like, the difference between the Uchi Katana or a longsword or something like that. They all have different, like, two-handed poses. Like, the Uchi Katana, you hold it like a two-handed katana. While the sort of longsword, you hold it more like a European style, sort of vertical next to your chest sort of thing.
Yeah, well, they are like completely different fighting styles.
Yeah,
So
well, yeah,
it
different,
makes
different
sense,
weapons
but
mean
it's
different
it's
tactics.
good to see that they put that effort in.
I think my favourite weapon animation's got to be the short sword. Because it's just done so well. And it also has, with certain weapons like the swords, it has slashing and piercing attacks.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it has like slashing, striking, etc. So you can have swords that will literally just do slash attacks, which will be shit against things that need piercing ones. Or you can have ones like the short sword where the strong attack is a stab.
But it's also good for fighting using your range. If they've got a... one of my favourites is the Boulder side sword that you can get from the Boulder skeletons. And it's kind of like a rapier sort of sword. A very quick, light sword. It's got really good slash attacks, but it's got a really long range poke. That's a stab. And what you can do is, like, if like the ones with the shields kind of go up to you and swing at you, and you know you're far away, you can kind of poke them with a stab attack and still be in a safe range, and use your the B button to like back off if they come too close.
Yeah, I always wanted to get good with Ricard's rapier because it had the strong attack where you do the kind of the little flourish and then you do
Yeah,
a
I think
really cool looking
I think
lunge.
I picked that up later. I pick up some kind of rapier.
You get the S-stock,
And,
I think.
I doubt it would be Ricard's because I can't see you
it's
getting
the
to Sen's
S-stock
Fortress at
because
the...
you hold it in a certain way.
All right, I'm not sure
Yeah,
which one it is,
you'd
but
hate
I get
Sen's Fortress.
some kind of weapon later on.
I started playing to see if I can catch up with him. Yeah, and the scimitar you can get if you do a strong attack or something, you hit them and then you do a cartwheel backwards to dodge out the way.
Yeah.
There's a ton of different animations for all these different one-handed weapons, and it's so good because the amount of different styles you can make a character with the weapon alone,
Yeah. Plus,
ignoring all the rings and the armor you can get.
Isn't there two-handed versions of the animations as well? Like earlier
Yeah.
on, I was carrying that broken sword hilt and I was using it one-handed, but for a short while I was using it with two hands.
Yeah, every weapon could be one-handed or two-handed.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I like
Which
about
is a
what
little
you were
bit weird
saying-
when you like have a fucking claymore in one hand.
But that's like then you're using it not as effective
Yeah.
because claymores are good for range and power, and it's got such a like broad swing to it that you can actually clear out waves of enemies or use
Sexy.
range.
But yeah, what you were saying about the weapon animations and everything, it kind of has that feel that a lot of old games do, where certain actions you have to commit to, or you can use them to your advantage, like the scimitar back wheel or like the short sword lunge.
There's everything in this game is well, yeah, it feels a lot like Castlevania. It feels like the modern Castlevania 1 or whatever.
Yeah, because you do an
you
attack
have to
and you
commit
to it.
every single movement. Like you want to jump,
Yeah.
you've got to commit to that jump. You want to swing your club or whatever, like you're gonna swing your club, but if something interrupts you, you're fucked.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
something
a-
blocks you, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
You're
A really good
open
example
for
of
attack.
that.
So you've really got to like choose your moments.
Yeah, a good example of that was I used to do a lot of verses against my brother in Anno Londo. My character was just a guy with a small warhammer and a shield, and he was this massive guy with a fucking huge club. And every time he'd go to attack me, I'd just walk behind him and backstab him. He was like, "Why can't I beat you?" Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I really like in this game actually, is the like lack of loading screens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere in this game and you will never encounter a single loading screen because it preloads all that shit as you're approaching it.
most of that shit. There are some sections where you do have to do it, but yeah.
But still, it's relatively uninterrupted exploration, unlike, say, Skyrim, where you run into a loading screen every time you, like, enter a new area or whatever.
Yep, and every time you access the menu, it's basically a kind of bloody... It feels like a loading screen.
Yeah, and you get, like, textures rendering in the distance and shit, like... It's kind of immersion breaking, but this you can get, like, completely immersed. And...
He's a naked body.
Actually, like, well, again, talking about like the law, the way that the law justifies how you respawn or whatever, that makes it incredibly immersive as well, because suddenly you're not like, oh, I'm dead, better reload a save. You're like, oh, I'm dead, better carry on or whatever. Like, where was the last bonfire or whatever? Like, it's really uninterrupted gameplay, and I really like that.
He's wielding a rag.
I like swing it and just like look at it funny. You know? It's like I can't use this as a weapon.
I was expecting you to equip the fucking Morningstar because it's a weapon.
No,
You're
it
let's
does
go for the
less
rag.
damage than the club.
Does bleeding damage though.
Yeah, but I was looking at it, I was like, why RG? I was like, oh yeah, I've got a Morningstar now. And then I looked at the damage, I was like, oh, the club
Yeah.
still does more damage because I have more strength than anything else.
Yeah, every weapon seems to have its kind of strengths and weaknesses, which is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So I use the club for basically the whole thing. Like, I'll pick up the greatsword and then realize I can't use it, and I'll pick up a rapier and it'll be like shit compared to
Yeah.
the club or whatever. So I just keep on using the club.
The cleric's mace is one of the best weapons for strength because it has a scaling stat of B for strength.
Yeah. That club has a scaling strength of A. It's just a bad club. Like that's one of the only ones with an A stat.
Yeah.
But
It's a really good club.
it is a good
Mace
club.
looks cooler
but,
anyway.
You've got like really spread out stats, so it isn't as noticeable. You kind of have to throw everything into strength to get it to be a good item, or to craft it and level it up.
Oh, okay. Shall we talk about something other than Dark Souls? We've been talking about it for like half an hour.
Suppose
now.
we could.
Well, I want to talk about Banished because
Souls.
me and Dave have been playing Banished pretty much non-stop all week.
Yes, the Dark Souls of City Sims.
Alright. Yeah, I was looking at some gameplay of Banished and it wasn't appealing to me, so sell the game to me.
Okay.
Do you
When I
wanna do it,
say-
Dave? Yeah.
When I say Banished is the Dark Souls of city sims, I think of it as the same way you play this. You get the ball rolling, you start getting some good stuff going, you're succeeding at stuff, and you're like, I'm learning this, I'm getting through this, and then something just comes along and just slaps you around, and you feel helpless, and you suddenly think, wow, I have to rethink everything.
Yeah.
So that, like, when you find a boss and you think, this tactic isn't working, I have to rethink everything, that literally happens in this game. You'll have tons of populations, you've got so much food, your town is thriving, and then suddenly a house sets on fire and 30 people perish, or you have a disease and half of your livestock is wiped out, so you have no food for winter.
Yeah.
And as a result, half of your population drops.
So basically, for people listening, if you don't know what Banished is, it's basically a village or city simulation game, but it's I wouldn't call it hyper-realistic, but it's like, it definitely keys in a lot more factors than your average sim game. Like, you know, you have to stock up food and supplies for the winter, otherwise everybody freezes to death or starves to death or whatever.
I think, like, the close, when you say, I don't think city builder or simulator is a good word. It's kind of like community builder or something.
Yeah, I mean,
the way you think of a sim city, it's you build a nice looking city with a good economy, and your goal is to make this paradise of a city to live in, and if you don't do well, you'll lose money and you'll have a couple of angry citizens.
Yeah, whereas in this, if you fuck up, then everybody dies.
Real life consequences occur.
Yeah, basically the best thing you can hope for in Banished is for your citizens to die of old age. Like, that's the best possible outcome in the game, because that means that they've had like a full life of like happiness and like fulfilling whatever.
Yeah, they've done their job of building the village for the future.
Yeah,
like, that's their job.
Does it have goals
if they
things?
die of like illness or getting crushed by rocks whilst working in the mines or like anything like that, then it's a bad thing. You want to try and avoid that.
Yeah, there's no like goals or major underlining goals. It is just stay alive.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like Minecraft in that respect, because you sort of like set your own goals.
It's completely hardcore, so if everyone dies, you have to start a new game.
Yeah.
You're not going to find anyone else.
Yeah, there's no other towns or anything, although somehow a merchant shows up every year.
Yeah, that's the only other person
yeah.
You have contact with.
So basically, you can eventually potentially fill the entire map with your town. But then once you run out of space, like it gets kind of difficult, I guess. Like, I think right now my personal goal with my town is to get like a sustainable income of every resource, which means I've got to like wait for traders to show up who have like rare seeds and stuff, so that I can grow new orchards and new crops and stuff. And then if I can like survive for 10 years straight without like clicking any buttons, then I've probably succeeded. So right now my city, my like town or village or whatever you want to call it, is about 300 population.
Oh Jesus, you've played more than me then.
Yeah, I played it like all of last night pretty much. But you start with about, well, if you start on hard mode, then you start with like 3 families, I think.
I think medium, you start with the same amount of families, but
oh yeah, you just have less food, less equipment, stuff like that.
You're basically living out of a
a wheelbarrow full of supplies.
You have to start by building the barn and everything. Yeah,
so it's basically your enjoyment comes from like trying to solve problems that show up in your city. Like, if a disease shows up and you haven't got a doctor's office built or whatever with a physician in it, then your disease is going to spread real quick. Like, that happened to me when basically I had like my population was around 100, and I had these like 20 what are they called, people that show up in your town to work, the nomads. Yeah, I had like 20 nomads be like, can we come to your town? And I was like, sure, I need the extra like hands in the mine or whatever. And they showed up with typhoid. and started giving typhoid to like all my other people in the town, and I was like, jeez. But luckily I had a doctor. I'd had a hospital built like 10 years ago, and there was nobody had any diseases ever. So I just stopped keeping a physician in it. And then the typhoid showed up, and I was like, oh, thank God I already have a hospital built. So I just made one guy a physician, and he cured everyone. And then the following winter, all of the nomads ate all of my food supplies. So I almost my village almost died of typhoid, and then it almost died of starvation because of these fucking nomads showing up.
That's the cool thing though, is like any slight change of population affects the entire economy of your town in a huge way. Like, I built so many houses, and I had a good population going, and like 5,000 food stored, with about 5,000 being produced every year, so I was kind of way above breaking even.
Yeah.
And I accepted a bunch of nomads, and I went up from about 55 population to about 65.
Yeah.
And I noticed that I was now about 1,000 stored. So that 10 people had eaten through, were enough to make everyone eat through all of my supplies. So I had to completely rethink how my farms were going to work, and who was going to work where, and I kind of had to stop my whole stone production and go into focusing on food again.
Yeah, that's what I had to do. Like, I called, like, the sort of 20 nomads that showed up, I put like 10 of them in the mines, and then I was like, oh shit, looks like you're all gonna have to become fishermen now or whatever. What was I gonna say? It's fuck. Oh yeah. You control like your population basically by how many houses you have. So if you only have like 10 houses, then you can only house like 10 families. So you're never gonna get any more people than that in your village. So basically, if you build too many houses at once, then in about 5 or 10 years, you're going to get a huge population boom, and it's going to fuck up your resources. So you have to be careful about like how many buildings you build at once and stuff like that. So like there's a lot more going on than what it initially looks like when you first look at the game. Because you first look at the game and it looks like a village simulator or whatever. Yeah, but there's a lot more going on underneath.
Yeah, do you find when you play it that you get attached to certain villages? Because, yeah, I love Sims where you do that. And in one where they can all die horribly.
Oh, no.
That sounds quite nice.
I wish that game let you name people, because it just randomly generates names.
Yeah, sometimes they're a bit weird.
My message.
Oh yeah, Dave messaged me, stop fucking up.
How did he know?
Because he was watching on the stream.
Yeah, I'd like you to be able to name people, because it would give you a bit more attachment. But I did notice when some of my old originals started dying off, and I was like, I remembered him. He was one of the first fishermen, and he fed all our people and got us through that harsh winter.
He never turned up to work, the lazy bastard.
Yeah, like I built a hunter's cabin on the like edge of my town, and I built a single house next to it, because I was like, okay, so whoever's gonna become the new hunter there can like have their house like right next to where they work or whatever. And this like newly graduated like 18-year-old hunter moved in there and started working or whatever, and then he moved in with a 17-year-old like student girl or whatever, and they were like living together. And then when she graduated, she became a hunter as well. And then they had 2 children, a boy and a girl, and they became hunters after the other 2 had died of old age. And I got really sad. I was like, oh, that mommy and papa, like I watched them grow up and die together. Like
the AI is really clever. How people who work closer, if you build a house close to where they work, they'll move in there.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is they'll marry someone who also works locally.
Yeah.
So you'll often see farmers marrying other farmers.
Yeah, or like if you build a
stonecutters.
farm and a fishing hut next to each other and then some houses, like the farmers will marry the fishermen or whatever.
Yeah, because I had a family who was like fishing family. They were the first who kind of set up the old family fishing
Business,
house
yeah.
and stuff.
Taught their children the ropes.
Yeah,
and
it's
everything.
like they've almost got their own like family businesses going after a few years.
And like when we said like you build houses to increase population, when you build a house, if like the children of the parents are around like 16, 17, they'll actually move out of their parents' house and move in with someone else with a mate, and then they'll have children.
But yeah,
so that's how you control the population. So you can actually they'll stay in that house and they'll keep having children as long as they want, and then they'll grow old and they'll stop having them, and then those kids will grow up.
yeah. So you kind of know when you need to build new houses and expand when you've got like 30-year-olds living with their 60-year-old parents.
Yeah, I feel bad when that happens. It's like you were the forgotten one.
Yeah, by the way, I keep expecting when you die the message to be thanks, Obama.
Yeah, I was going to say you should install
Yeah,
that
I
mod.
saw that mod.
So good.
I think like in the second one, like even though it's a mod, they should put in like once in 99% chance that it says that instead of you died.
Yeah.
Or like, you done goofed.
But only if you die from like a really, really shitty thing, like somebody accidentally knocks you off an edge or something.
Yeah. So you said it looks kind of unappealing. Is that because you just don't like sim games, or because you didn't?
Well, it's because
you didn't
I've
really
played-
understand what it was.
Well, it was mostly just from an aesthetic aspect, because I was just kind of watching it in the background, and it just kind of looked like, oh, he made farms and stuff, and I was like, I don't know, it didn't really have the artistic charm of Stronghold, or the kind of the
I think
appeal
it
that Black
does,
and White
like-
2
I think
had.
it does. Yeah.
Especially when it starts snowing and all the rooftops become snow, and it's just like it's much more impressive when you have a built-up community rather than just a couple of houses and
Yeah.
a big greenfield and farms.
When you
Once
first
you build
start,
a proper
it's a
sort of
little bit.
metropolis.
Yeah, you're a little bit sort of unsure of what to do when you first start, but like you quickly get the hang of it. Or you think you quickly get the hang of it, and then it jumps something on you like disease or failed crops or whatever.
How much
Yeah.
does it cost, or how much did it cost you?
I bought it from Humble Bundle and now it was £11.
And then
But that was the Steam and DRM version.
yeah, so that was the DRM version. So Dave just gave that to me.
Because he really wanted to play it, and I really wanted him to play it to get the idea of what it was.
Yeah. Because we'd looked at it about 2 weeks ago, and we were like,
I've
this
been
looks
following
really
it for
cool.
months.
Yeah.
I remember seeing screenshots and thinking, "Oh my god, this looks amazing!" If
it
it
looks
does
really
what it
pretty.
says.
And yeah, I've lost so many hours to that game.
It's such
now.
a Moorish game. It's one of those games, you know, like when we talk about Civilization, it's one of those one more turn,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
before you
yeah.
know it, you spend another hour.
It's
like that, but it's like one more season,
yeah,
and you
it's
end up like 5 years
just,
later.
Just one more year. Just one more year.
Just to see how
Just
things
one
go.
more
Hopefully,
thing.
like my farming will be good, and then you've like just built a whole nother section to your village across the river or something.
I was playing it earlier today, and I was like, okay, I need to like do something at 9. So I'm just gonna play it for an hour. Like it was 7, and I was like, I'm gonna play it for an hour, then do something at 8, then do something at 9. And it got to 8, and I was like, okay, I'll just play one more winter and see how this crop turns out or whatever, because I'd like planted some pumpkins, and then I looked at the clock again. It was like 9:15. I was like, oh shit. Because you can change the speed of time flow in the game as well, so
Yeah.
you can make it. I usually have it about ×2 when I'm doing something like when I'm not really that sort of conscious about what I'm doing. I'm just clicking on stuff and not really thinking. And then sometimes I'll take it up to ×10 and just skip through like 5 years in 5 minutes.
I played the whole thing ×10 because I remember he was playing in the middle of the night and he just messaged me saying, come talk about Banished, and I was like, I might as well start a new game.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I caught up to him and I surpassed him in years because I was playing the whole thing in 10 times because I understood like AI and everything.
So I'd been playing in 2 times for about an hour before he showed up, and then he started a new game, and like 3 hours later he was on year like 25 and I was on year 15 because he'd been playing at a much higher speed than me.
Yeah, but now you've got like 100 freaking people.
Yeah, I've got like 300 population now, so I play
Jesus
it.
Christ.
I play
you
it.
should post a screenshot of your city because I want to see how big it is.
It's looking
on the
really
minimap.
good. It looks nothing like what I originally planned it was going to look like though.
No, it never does.
Yeah, like the terrain around my village is really shitty, so it's actually really hard to find places to build.
Oh, I kept reseeding until I got a rough flat land because I hate having an uneven looking city. I still, even though it's all about productivity, I still like to have an aesthetically nice looking town.
So I've had to sort of like work with what I've got at times.
Yeah.
So I was like originally gonna like expand into like the west or whatever, and then I wound up expanding into the east. I might.
Yeah.
I think I'll take a screenshot and put it up on the video like now, so you can look at it.
Wow!
Just post a link to
my
a
God.
Tumblr poster.
Look at
that.
this picture on the video that we
This
can't
looks
see.
shit.
Oh,
Look at all those houses and
Jeez.
that fishing thing.
that
Look at
fishing
how
thing
shit
is the best fishing thing I've seen in a long time. Fade away.
We are a professional show. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you should try it as well.
Yeah,
Right.
I will.
You can name your town Duncton like I did.
You can name your towns as well. Yeah.
Dick City, USA.
Everything is randomly generated though.
Yeah, like all the maps are seed based, so you can just type in a bunch of random numbers and you'll always
Can
get
you
a
name your
random-
town after you've seen what the place looks like?
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah.
you can
Because
rename
I'd hate
it
to call it
anytime.
something desert-like, and then you just end up in the fucking
No,
snow. or
right, you
something.
don't get like deserts.
Yeah.
It's always,
Right
like,
now, there's
green.
only like one environment, which is like green mountains or whatever.
Okay.
It's kind of like
Um,
sort of North American plains.
Yeah. I don't know if
That's
they're
what it
gonna
feels
update with.
I would love.
other
I would
locations.
like. There's a big modding community growing, and they're already talking about adding new places like windmills and beehive places that can like
Yeah.
give you benefits of honey, but also the negatives of like bees stinging your guys and having allergic reactions and going to the hospital and stuff.
Yeah, because right now you can like grow wheat, but they'll just eat wheat. Like,
Yeah.
they don't have to process it into bread or anything. They'll just eat
They'll
wheat out of the stock
they'll just
house.
eat it
Yeah,
raw.
that was one of the things that I really liked about Stronghold was all of the processing buildings.
Yeah.
I think it needs a bit more depth to how food can be produced because there already is a thing where if you just give them the same kind of food, like if you just hunt venison and fish, after a while they'll actually lose health
Yeah,
because
and
they're not getting
unhappy
a
and
balanced
stuff.
diet. So
Yeah.
if you balance vegetables and meats and stuff like that, and fruits and nuts from the forests that you can forage, you get a lot more healthier people.
Yeah, I actually got an achievement today, which was have everybody in your town with at least 4 stars of happiness and hunger or health for
Oh.
at least 25 years.
Oh wow!
So For 20,
I can't
for
have
20
that because everyone keeps dying.
For 25 years straight, everybody in my town has been really happy and really healthy.
All that alcohol you've been making.
Yeah, actually, that's something. There's like no different types of alcohol either. So you make a brewer's, and you just say you want to make alcohol out of wheat or apples or whatever, but it's all just dubbed ale. It's not like cider or vodka or mead or whatever. So it would be cool if they like added different ways to brew alcohol, and then you could have different taverns with different.
Yeah, like a.
So you could have the cider tavern and the
Yeah,
mead
that
tavern.
specialises.
I'd make a really
things.
depressed place where they just keep drinking vodka.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah.
That means like you could like make a cider tavern and have like an apple orchard outside.
Yeah, or like vodka brewery and like potatoes.
That's one thing I would like them to add if they sort of had the time and money, is just to add like a couple of sort of aesthetic scenery items, like signposts or stuff.
Yeah.
Or even park benches, I don't know.
Yeah, just little
Benches.
things to like add to
Little
it.
things, like I'd love to have like a little signpost that went over roads to kind of indicate you are now entering a different province of the town.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I love
because
the-
I've got like 3 districts in my town now.
Yeah, I have 2 districts, which is just like a sort of a country area which is full of farms and lots of wooden houses, and as you kind of go in, it always turns into a gradient of dark roof stone buildings of the
Yeah.
sort of metropolitan market area.
I did like the variety that you get in Roller Coaster Tycoon to make stuff like that.
had
So,
such
Yeah,
good scenery.
yeah.
And you
So
can
if
put
that
it anywhere.
game got that amount of variety, I would spend so long just
Yeah.
designing a little clearing where all the old people can sit and feed ducks.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what the modders come up with for this game.
Yeah, I think if they get if they like, because there's one guy who makes the game.
Yeah.
It's just one man. If he releases some kind of modding tools, the models will probably take it from there and just make
Just
tons
make
of stuff. I'd
everything.
love to see them add
Yeah.
tons of depth to how you develop food and stone.
Yeah. I mean, there's already a subreddit for it, and which I've been
Yeah.
looking at, and people like talking about lots of different stuff that could be added.
Also, another thing I had an idea of is horses that you could have in a stable, and you can also use the horses for transporting goods at like an increased speed.
Yeah, or hunting,
So-
like speed up hunting on horseback or
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
and like, because you can have people with wheelbarrows, but they're the only difference between them and carrying items. It'd be great if you could have like a horse trailing a wagon full of stuff.
And it would be cool if they added like a mechanic to like segregate off into a second town or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that is definitely a second town. Like with a different town hall and different resources, and then you can like set up trade routes between the two and stuff.
That'd be confusing as hell.
Yeah, it would get really hard because you'd then have to multitask like 2 different
You'd have
stocks
to make
or whatever.
a self-preservation place, just a place that you could leave alone and know nothing bad would happen to it, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, one of my goals is to be able to speed up for 10 years straight and not click anything.
Yeah. Well, that's not how you should do it. Though. You should just keep expending,
Yeah.
because you're probably wasting 10 years of people's lives, sort of thing. They're still going to have babies born, but
Yeah,
you're going
that's
to
true.
have a point when you're going to have a sudden lapse. If you look at the graph of population,
Yeah.
that 10 years will have a lapse.
You can build
of
a town
population.
hall, and that gives you tons of graphs and stuff. And it'll give you like a drop-down menu of like the last year, the last 10 years, the last 25 years, the last 100 years, or the last 1,000 years. So
Christ.
this game definitely, like, I'm in year 30 something, so the game definitely goes into the long term or whatever.
And
I'm
also,
guessing it
I've
doesn't have
heard of
futuristic things or anything.
No,
No.
there's no like progression of technology, which is a little bit annoying. Everything just stays medieval-ish for 1,000 years or whatever.
Thousands of years. Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun, and it's a massive time sink, so I should probably stop playing it soon. But
Yeah.
all right. So, Brian, what was your topic?
Well, I want to talk about Dragon's Dogma, because as I mentioned in the previous podcast, I played it a bit, and I didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I've played it a lot more in the time between the two, and I fucking love it. It is a bloody good game. So, yeah, for those of you that don't know what Dragon's Dogma is, it's like a kind of explorative RPG, like Skyrim, but with some
We talk about Skyrim a lot on this show.
only bad things. But yeah, it's got inherently Japanese mechanics where it has, instead of just waving a sword around, it has these crazy flourish attacks. Because you have like the basic attacks and basic combos, but you can also pick between different attacks. Like,
do you mean like strong attacks and light attacks, or?
Kind of, in a way, but there are some more unique ones where you can kind of grapple an enemy to help other members in your party attack them. Or there's one with your shield, where you can springboard them into the air so they can grab onto a griffin or a harpy or whatever. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the fun that you can have when you just go around exploring. So you get a party like most RPGs, but they're called pawns, and they're these weird creatures that in game lore they're from another dimension, but in reality they're basically just other side characters that other players have made,
right,
that get uploaded to a server.
Wait, they're other people's characters?
Yeah, well, they're not their main characters. They're sidekicks, because you get to make a sidekick.
Yeah, so like do you have one as well?
Yeah. My sidekick is this amazing old man with a little bushy beard called Solomon. And he's a mage, and when you're making them, you can edit their posture, so they're either standing really strong or they're kind of leant forward going... So, yeah, Solomon's the kind.
So other people can can have Solomon in their party now?
Yeah, and you can rate other people's characters on appearance and everything, and yeah, people like the way Solomon looks.
Solomon's got a plum too.
But there's so many ugly and kind of generic and crappy looking characters on there.
That's a really interesting mechanic, actually.
Yeah, it's all right, but the main problem is the pawns that you see don't tend to level up. So after a couple of levels, it's better to just kind of scrap them, which gets a bit irritating. But yeah, I thought I'd tell you about this amazing experience that I had when I went on an adventure with Solomon and some other guys.
Adventures with Solomon and other guys.
So we left the capital, and I was just kind of looking around, and I saw this massive ruined castle way across in the distance, and there was this massive cliff path that you had to go along to get to it. So we headed up this mountain, and along the way, we left during daytime, and by the time we reached the start of the mountain, there was this little canyon, and it was nighttime. And nighttime in that game, you cannot see shit. So exploring new areas is terrifying.
Do you not have like a torch or something?
You have a lantern, but the light radius is very modest.
Right.
Which is really good. So we walk along, and then we get ambushed by bandits. And I'm thinking, me and Solomon can take him. And then everyone dies. And you can resurrect them, as in you press B and you help them up off the floor, they get a bit of health, and they try and run away.
Right.
I wasn't going to try that with the other one. They were just surrounded. So I managed to do it with Solomon, and Solomon, because he's a mage, and I've told him to protect me, he was like, I've been resurrected. I must heal my master. And I was like, no, Solomon, no, what are you doing? So I picked him up, shoved him on my shoulder. I was like running away from all of these guys with an old man on my shoulder. I eventually lost them, and we came into this kind of mountain clearing. And I was like, whew, all right, thank fuck. We can't get back to the main city to rest and get more healing items. Let's just take it slow and keep heading towards the castle. And then suddenly, this massive mound of rocks raises up and starts glowing. And I'm like, oh god, there's a giant stone golem there. And because the other two party members had died, it was just me and Solomon versus it. And the only way you could beat it was by climbing it and cutting these little golden medallions off of it, which I thought was really cool.
Wait,
And
is it kind of like a Colossus from Shadow of the Colossus?
yeah, it has a lot of moments like that where you have to climb these huge beasts and get to their weak spots.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that fight took me until the morning, but we did eventually beat it. So that was a great achievement. And yeah, after we did that, we finally arrived at midday at the castle. And then
Was it,
so me and
was
Solomon,
it a shitty castle?
no, it was amazing. It really rewarded my kind of exploration.
Yeah.
So we got into the castle, we reached an open courtyard, and in the distance I spotted a cloaked figure raised up on these broken stairs, and I was like, who the fuck is that? And I didn't want to get too close in case he started attacking, so I walk along slowly, and then suddenly these snow harpies come out of nowhere and ambush us, and I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ! And then
Goddamn snow harpies.
We dispatched them with the awesome animations, because one of my favourite attacks, because my guy's a fighter, is the broad slash, because you basically just step back and slash. It's a really kind of understated move, but it's really useful.
Yeah.
And it just looks really cool. So I kill the harpies, and the second the last one falls, I get close enough to the cloaked figure to see a massive fireball coming my way. And I'm just like, Jesus.
Just one thing after another.
Yeah, and then all these skeletons start raising up from the ground. And yeah, me and Solomon beat them down and start exploring the castle. And I found some really, really good items. Like, I'd been looking around the shops and around the areas around the city for better fighter gear, and it was all shite. But then I found these really cool griffin gauntlets and this really cool chest armor and everything. And yeah, that's another thing that I really like about Dragon's Dogma, is the loot and the items are unique, and a lot of their traits are unique. It's not like an action RPG like Torchlight or Diablo, where you're like, oh, I have a lightning pistol. Well, that kind of sucks. I have a lightning fire elephant gun pistol.
Oh, right. It's
yeah.
just like it's the same weapon, but just with extra stats on it or whatever.
Yeah, because when you find a weapon that's enchanted with lightning, like I found this fucking huge club that had a really cool name, looked awesome, and it was like it's enchanted with lightning. I was like, awesome.
Is it completely different models as well?
Yeah, everything is completely
right.
different. And yeah, I got all that loot, and that presented a new problem, because it has a really good stamina system that the more you carry, the slower your stamina recovers, and the slower you are. So with all of this really heavy loot, me and Solomon were weighed the fuck down. And we summoned some guys from a nearby riftstone, and we headed back through that bandit canyon. And I was like, okay, with this new stuff, we're finally going to beat them. And I was like really, really slow, and half my attacks left me drained of stamina. When that happens, your character bends over, starts wheezing, and is just open to attacks for a good 2-3 seconds until someone helps you. So that was a grueling battle, but once I got through and then finally got back to the capital and just sold everything, it felt so good. And the funny thing is, I left on that adventure with about 20,000 gold, and I came back with 175,000 gold.
Jesus.
I was like, yes. It was such a great
So it was
feeling.
like a proper little adventure.
Yeah, and that was just one of the many bloody things you can do in it.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant game. It has a lot of those kind of gaming moments.
What's it for?
It's for Xbox or PlayStation 3. I don't think there's a PC version, unfortunately.
Which
Damn.
sucks. Why isn't there a PC
Yeah, there should
version?
be a PC version.
It'd
That
be
sounds pretty
amazing.
cool.
Yeah. And also, the main menu music is this really cheesy English song, but it's so cheesy that it's so good. Because every time I play it, because I've been very busy lately, I make it so I have a specific window of time. And then when I set my Xbox up and I just kind of put everything in, the main menu has enough time to start playing the tune, and I'm just like, oh yeah. Yeah, I've associated it with the good feeling of just sitting down and playing it.
That's cool. I like it when music does that to you.
Yeah.
Like, I've been listening to the MGS soundtracks a lot lately, and they're all just like so like invigorating.
Yeah. The alert themes and the Ocelot music in particular is really intense.
Like Snake Eater and stuff.
Can I just like throw a couple change the subject just slightly?
Go for it.
And talk about twin snakes. Because
Sure.
I wasn't sure about Brian's gripes with twin snakes.
This is harking back to podcast 2.
Yeah, I wasn't like, I didn't 100% agree on Brian's sort of criticism of the game. I thought like, why is he being so critical? And then I watched some of the cutscenes in the game, and there's a scene in particular, especially there's two. The Sniper Wolf one, where Sniper Wolf has her Ridicule aimed at his forehead. He does a backflip. Sniper Wolf's like, he lands on like the edge of the back of his gun. The gun flips backwards. He
into the
picks
air.
it up.
He catches it.
He like catches it in midair. Does a
360 spin.
no scope and shoots
and no
her.
scopes her in the chest.
What?
Yeah.
What? I haven't even
Alright,
fucking seen
and
that one.
the-
What?
Okay, and the second one, you know the Hind D battle against Liquid.
Oh yeah, I think when
When he
fucking
shoots a missile and he jumps off the
Yeah.
missile and shoots a rocket launcher. Oh my god, those
that shit happens in
cutscenes.
the original.
Yeah.
None of that stuff was in the original. The only thing I liked was I was rewatching it, like every cutscene from Twin Snakes. I really liked the scene where Ocelot loses his hand. Because it's done really nonchalantly. It's just they finish the battle and then all these like invisible sword slices go through the map, and then you just hear and you see Ocelot just look around and look down, and then the camera just goes down to his severed arm. He's just like, ah! And that's it. Like it doesn't do like the PS1 one where his hand just slices up and he goes, ah, my hand. It just does this really weird, like comedic pause, and it's and then they have like a choreographed sword battle with
Yeah, because you basically said that like there's a bit with Grey Fox where he's like doing flips and shit and like karate moves, and you were like, oh, that's really bad, and I was just like, that doesn't sound that bad. I mean, Grey Fox is supposed to be a ninja or whatever. But then I saw the 360 no scope, and I was like, oh Jesus, they've ruined everything.
there's some really bad
One thing
stuff.
I'd like to point out, Grey Fox has a different voice actor in the GameCube version. In the PlayStation one, he has this really cool black voice. I don't know the voice actor. Feel bad that I don't. But he does a really good job.
Yeah.
And in the newer one, the guy does a good job, but his voice is... He's the guy that voices Pinky.
From Pinky and the Brain.
Yes.
Oh.
And he's Grey Fox. And you can tell. It pisses me off.
Does he like narf at him?
Yeah, when he's being crushed by Metal Gear and he loses his arm. Nerf. Also, there's no select button on a GameCube controller, so to get the codec up, you have to press Start and A, which is really awkward.
Huh. I never actually noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Thanks for
did
bringing
like,
that game up.
I did like the cutscenes. A lot of them were very, very odd. Also, they messed up the one where Meryl like runs off and you see her ass, and she walks into the lift, and then Psycho Mantis just goes, "Good girl," just like that, and then leaves. But instead, he does that and then like pesters Snake a bit by like teleporting around him and then disappearing. Well, the whole point of that was supposed to be like, who the fuck was that guy?
Yeah, and it's
that
more
it's just like,
subtle.
Here's Psycho Mantis. Look, la la la, I'm psychic. Hello, Snake. Goodbye, Snake.
Yeah, in case you didn't see that, he is a fucking boss.
Yeah, I got that from the bloody subtleties, you tit.
Yeah. It's very odd how...
Way to bring the podcast mood down.
Yeah.
It's like me praising the shit
man.
out of an awesome game. And
I
then
had
this
to throw
piece
into
of
negative stuff. We have to talk about some negative stuff.
Yeah, just not everything can be good. Remember, we're grumpy old men who hate video games.
No! Gotta be happy about good things like Dark Souls and Dragon's Dogma.
And Banished.
Dark Souls
Yeah.
2 is probably going to be really bad. It's probably going to have
Fuck
Call
off,
of
man.
Duty DLC, so it's called Janaka Forge.
Alright,
Probably made for
I want to
filthy
talk about
casuals.
I want to talk about Twitch plays Pokemon.
No, I don't want to talk about filthy casual.
So if you don't know about this, right now on Twitch, around 50,000 people are
wasting their lives.
Yeah.
are collectively playing Pokemon Red by inputting button controls into the chat. And they're getting really far in the game. They've been playing it for about 2 weeks straight now. And it's kind of ridiculous how far they've come.
Yeah, when you think about how much, like, complex stuff actually happens, like, in terms of puzzles and places where you really have to kind of go backwards on yourself on purpose and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
like the a lot of the gym puzzle rooms or whatever before you fight the gym leaders. I can't remember which ones they are, but there's one where you like teleport around and shit. And they managed to get through that, and they managed to get up Route 9 and like all of this different stuff. And it's basically like it's about a half and half split of people putting buttons in to try and actually progress, and people putting buttons in to fuck up the people that are trying to progress. So it's I feel like the whole thing is almost a piece of artwork, like, because it's like it's not something that you can watch for more than a few minutes, but just the sheer fact that they're progressing is basically proving that in the chaos, democracy wins out eventually. I mean, they've implemented a system now, or last week, where you can vote democracy or anarchy, and if there's basically a slider at the top of the screen that's depends on how many votes or whatever. So if it's in anarchy mode, then it will just input every button input that's put into chat, and if it's democracy mode, then every button input will be voted for, so there'll be like a 10-second countdown, and it'll collect all of the different votes for button inputs and then do the one that's the most popular. But it's kind of weird because it feels a lot like the infinite monkey theorem in practice. If you guys know what the infinite monkey theorem is. It's,
the monkeys and typewriters.
Yeah, it's basically a way of conceptualizing infinity, which is
stupid monkey.
If you put a monkey in a room for an infinite amount of time, then they will eventually write every piece of literature ever, word for word, because that's like how infinity works. But it's kind of a similar situation, only that it's kind of like there's two monkeys, or a monkey and a human, and they're both typing at the same typewriter, and one of them is trying to type out all the works of literature, and the other one is just hitting random buttons. But the same thing is still true, like eventually they'll still type out all the works of literature and history. The only difference is that with somebody there trying to actually do it, they'll just do it a lot faster. So it's a kind of similar thing, and I just think it's really interesting to see it put into practice with a game like Pokemon.
I think it's cool because they've kind of written their own narrative as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's been major events that have happened that have completely changed how things have gone.
There's a whole cult following alongside it as well, like all of this like bird Jesus stuff and the Helix fossils.
It's like
a small religious, like a small cult religion is building up around it and shit.
From what I gather, the main character has been sent by the mighty Helix to go against the dome fossil, and there was a false prophet in the Eevee that they got. Because they were like, let's turn it into a Vaporeon. But the bloody monkeys managed to turn it into a bloody Flareon, and then it got released instantly. So they call it the false prophet.
Yeah.
And then the Pidgeot, I have no idea how they got a high-level Pidgeot in the party.
I think it's basically because the Pidgey was like their number one, because they let go of their Charmeleon.
Yeah.
They got a Charmeleon and then released it.
As well as Jay Leno, Eradicate.
as well as a whole bunch of Pokemon. But I think basically as a result of that, their Pidgey wound up in the number one slot and had Whirlwind as their number one move. So like the likelihood of people just pressing A repeatedly in a battle like was a lot higher. So the Pidgey would just win every battle and get all of the levels. So they'd wind up with like a level.
Whirlwind doesn't kill shit, does it?
I
No,
can't remember what attack, like tackle or something.
Oh, Gust, yeah.
Gust, yeah. And so they like right now they've got like a level 60 something Pidgeotto, and everything else in their party is level 30 or 40.
Yeah.
I like how they've got a Lapras called Air.
Yeah. But like they managed to find the Master Ball, and then they managed to use it on Zapdos.
Yeah.
Could have gone worse. They could have used it on an Oddish or something.
Yeah, no, but that's what I mean. Like, it's really impressive. They actually used it on something good, as opposed to catching like a Magikarp with it. Or
But
something.
did they release the Zapdos?
They haven't released it yet. They almost did, though. There was a screenshot. They were at the PC after they caught Zapdos, and somebody screenshotted, like, because they got to, like, do you want to release Zapdos? And there was literally, like, an A and a B. And if it had been the B a B and an A, and if it had been the A first, then they would have released Zapdos.
Yeah, I like the idea that the main character is just this kind of schizophrenic who has all of these commands in his head, and I viewed it as all of the people commenting that want to play the game right. They keep saying, no, you don't need to go to Pewter City now. So just imagine that in his head. He's like, what? No.
Like,
It's beautiful. It makes it so dark.
I think I imagine it slightly differently. Like, he's like conscious of everything that's happening, and he can hear people saying like stuff that isn't input commands. But he has no control over the rest of his body, so he's just like wandering around doing all of this stuff with no control over it, and then hearing all of these people being like, praise bird Jesus, Helix be praised, like in his head.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. The fact that, a seemingly very basic and simple game has managed to create this massive narrative around it.
There's a lot of copycat streams now as well, like people trying to do the same thing with like Street Fighter and stuff. Although there's one which is basically the Infinite Monkey Theorem, because it's not chat input, it's literally just a random button generator playing Pokemon Red. That one's not doing as well as the Twitch plays one, because it's random as opposed to being like having some actual direction from certain people. But it's kind of the same thing, only that one doesn't have like the same following, I guess, because there's a certain like personal feeling to like having these thousands of people all watching.
Even though the chat goes so fast, you can barely read them.
Yeah, if you like, I've input a couple of commands on occasion. Like, I was watching it for about an hour at one point, and they were just in this Poke Center for like 2.5 hours. They'd been in there for so long. This was after they'd caught Zapdos, and they just kept going because basically they'd accidentally put their HM and their SS ticket into the computer, and they needed to get them back in order to progress. So they were just bumbling about this Poke Center for 2 hours trying to get the items back. But like, and like during that time, they also released like 3 Pokemon. Like I watched them release their Geodude and something else. But
There's probably going to be some kind of comic or graphic novel or animated series after this is all
there's
over.
tons already. I'm just waiting for like some like Flash animators to do YouTube stuff on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking the Elite Four is going to be hell for them. Because it's actually hard and you actually have to use tactics.
Well, the way they've done it is because it's gone on for like 13 days straight, they've actually grinded tons.
Yeah.
So they've actually got quite high level Pokemon that are much higher than the ones they're currently battling.
Yeah,
it's
so
just the fact
they're
that they're
win through
constantly
sheer
going to use
brute
the wrong moves.
Well, they've been like winning battles so far. I think like it'll just be sort of trial and error, as with everything else that's been in this game so far. Like, I think probably the hardest part will be actually getting to the Elite Four because there's all those
the
fences.
boulder puzzle. How are they going to do the goddamn boulder puzzle? I thought they were going to just like find a brick wall in the electric gym because that is complete random.
Yeah.
But I guess because it's random, they just picked something and it happened to be the right switches.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a surprising amount of really tense moments in that.
Yeah.
Stream, like in a lot of the battles, because they won a lot of them by a very slim border.
Like chance or whatever. Like
I wouldn't put it past this chat to be able to catch Missing No.
yeah, that me and Dave were talking about this. I was basically saying there's 3 possible outcomes for this game. Like 1, they never complete it, chat just gets bored and everybody stops watching. 2, they complete the game by beating the Elite Four. Or 3, they accidentally catch Missing No and the game data gets corrupted.
Accidentally, though. I swear there's a very specific set of commands you have to put in.
Catching Missing No doesn't corrupt the game. It just messes up the Hall of Fame.
Oh, right. Wait, I
it doesn't actually break the game.
Does it not?
Nope, no, it's not game breaking.
Oh, right.
It
But
messes up some of the imagery, but
you can't use it as a Pokemon, can you?
if you do, it turns into like a Rhydon with water gun or something.
Yeah, it's fucking
And if you
weird.
level it up, it doesn't really do anything.
It used to terrify me as a kid. Like, I used to do it for the infinite candy cheat because I never used to play it properly. And then every time I saw it, I was like, Jesus Christ.
It
is
was
a
like
really
kind of
weird
spooky
thing.
because it
Not
wasn't
spooky
like,
as the ghosts without the self scope.
yeah.
Christ, they used to.
But yeah, like it's so like it's such a like simple idea, and yet it's like doing so well. I'm really interested to see like how long it takes them to finish it now, because they're close. They're getting close.
Yeah, they're in Cinnabar Island now.
Yeah.
I would
And,
like if they completed this. I'd like to see them do yellow or silver or gold.
I don't know. I don't think it's something that you can do twice.
I'm pretty sure like they've got 50,000 people currently watching them. I'm pretty sure they must reach something.
They'd need to bring something new to the formula if they do the second one, though.
I don't know. Like this wasn't as popular when it started fresh, so not as many people got to really work on the start of the adventure. So if they did a new one with 50,000 people, it'd be madness.
That's true.
The only reason they got that this far is because the start was kind of less shaky. They had about
Yeah, actually,
I don't know 2,000 people putting in inputs, and they had enough of that to actually get places.
yeah,
and catch
like when
Pokemon.
it first started, there was probably enough people like who knew what they were doing and were like trying to like get as far as possible.
And then once it got popular, the trolls started appearing and
Yeah.
Pokemon were released.
Yeah, it's like it definitely feels like a battle of like a constant struggle of like political systems within Twitch Plays Pokemon. But yeah, I mean, like, democracy is winning out in the end. Like, even through the anarchy, progression is being made
for God's
because
sake,
of the infinite monkey theorem. Sorry, yeah, I just
like
jump
if
off.
you sort of look at how they view it, anarchy is actually the good part, and like democracy is the bad part.
I don't fully understand what their reasoning is for that, because they're like, oh, praise the helix fossil, the the bringer of anarchy or whatever.
Because I think they overcame some of the harder parts whilst the system was in anarchy.
Huh.
Well,
So
yeah, it's
few-
constantly been in
few killed
anarchy. There's only a handful of parts where I've seen it. Democracy's been used.
Yeah.
And that was like during the very tense PC stuff.
Yeah, the only time I've seen democracy used was when they were in the poker center, and they eventually got sick of being in the poker center, so they democracy won out. They went to the PC, they got the right items out, and then they left.
Yeah, and anarchy.
And then
just shot
anarchy
back up.
fell.
I like how
back
it makes
into
such
whatever.
a small part of the game so intense and important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this is what I'm saying. Like, you can't really watch it for extended periods of time, or at least I can't. I bet there are some people that are watching it 24/7. But
I know a bunch of American colleges have it on stream, just on screens in the background for 24/7, like game
That's
courses
pretty cool.
and stuff.
yeah, I at least can't watch it for very long because nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where
It makes you appreciate how catchy the Pokemon music is. Though. I've had it playing for 10 minutes and realizing, oh wait, I'm just listening to the Pokemon music.
I was actually watching it whilst I was going for a nap. And they were stuck outside in some town for ages, and when I woke up they were in the psychic gym.
yeah.
And I'd been watching it for about half an hour and they'd been getting nowhere. And then I go to sleep for about half an hour and they're in a bloody gym.
Yeah.
And
How the hell
that
that
happened today. I was watching it for about 10 minutes, and they were in the ocean, swimming around and shit. And then I went to the shops for 10 minutes, came back, and they were in the middle of a city, doing talking to random people or something. And I was like,
Over and over again.
over and over and over again. But I was like, because I don't actually know Pokemon Red that well, but I was like, how far have they got in the last 10 minutes? Because I was watching it for 10 minutes and they were just in the ocean. I swear stuff only happens in that game when you're not looking at it.
Yeah, speaking of things happening, how far have you actually gotten in Dark Souls in this whole hour and a half?
I grinded a bit in the starting zone, that's it.
You missed
you get to the
part,
second
he
bonfire?
Probably, he got to the part where the dragon foot lands.
Yeah, I'm
And,
gonna tag
yeah.
that onto the end of this video. Actually, there's a
Yeah, that
hilarious
was-
clip of me just walking around in silence. We've already seen it in the video, but basically, I was walking around. Nobody was saying anything much, and I was just exploring, checking to see if I'd missed anything before I progressed, and then walked up those steps, and the dragon lands, and I just shat myself.
I've never heard Will
I make the
such
most
a,
wonderful sound, and I'm gonna tag it on the end of this video because it's so funny. I'm probably gonna make a highlight reel of all my random screams while I was playing this. Actually,
I think you should continue streaming this. 'Cause it's funny.
I want to, but I need to fix these frame rate issues first.
But yeah, the learning curve of Dark Souls is just really showing itself in this video, because what is taking you an hour and a half would take me and Dave about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
That's how deep the curve is.
yeah.
Yeah, within this time, I was running around the plant area, or I'd already killed the first 3 bosses.
Jesus.
Whereas Will
And,
hasn't even
I'm
found
just
the first
grinding
problem.
the same 7 zombies over and over and over again.
In this video, he doesn't even get close to the entrance of the first boss.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's a slow crawl, but once you get used to it, it's fucking amazing.
I think I basically realized I couldn't do shit unless I could find another bonfire, and I was too scared to explore too far out because I would just die.
That jump! I kept telling you you could make that jump.
I
guess
don't
in all
understand how
fairness-
I can't make that jump.
In all fairness, you are playing as Depraved on your first playthrough, which
Yeah.
is pretty harsh.
Yeah, I am doing this hardcore mode, well, not Iron Man style.
If
but
you're doing this hardcore mode, you would have stopped to
I used to think
minute one.
Deprived, you always played naked, you couldn't pick any armor up or any items up. but they're actually just kind of the vanilla.
Yeah, it's
Make your own
Yeah,
class.
the thing that that's the worst about the Deprived is I think they're one of the highest level starting characters, like level
Yeah,
10
they're
or
level
11 or
6
something.
when
Oh,
you start.
yeah. Whereas if you choose a Pyromancer, you start off with lots of gear, decent stats, and level 1.
Yeah.
So you can basically make a really good character by
Well,
the time you're
the
the Deprived level.
Well, the difference is that the like classes are like level 5 or so, like 4 to 5, and they have like varied stats. Like the knight will have more strength and dexterity or whatever. Whereas the Deprived, you start at level 6 and everything.
You have 11 everything.
Everything is 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can really build your own class, like however you want.
Well,
it's not a
probably better
recommended
to
first build by any means, but still, yeah.
It's better to start as a Pyromancer, I think, because you start at level 1, like the lowest level,
Well,
and you can properly shape the rest of your stuff.
And then I quit. I got bored of grinding, so I guess that brings us to the end of the podcast.
hooray!
Hooray!
Thanks for listening, you smelly bastards.
Watch, listen.
Are you fucking kidding me? There's a fucking dragon!
Guess what the first boss is?
Oh my god! Where is it? Where'd it go? Oh, if this message says watch out for the dragon, I'm gonna fucking...
That is the funniest
Ow!
fucking moment ever.
Ow.
Just rewatched it. You don't even scream, you just go, "Ah!"